and gentlemen, we are back with yet another video of the Arizona Sports Fan. Thank you so very much for coming back, guys. I really do appreciate it. Now, today, we're going to go ahead and talk a little NFL draft. Who we think we're going to go ahead and get. This is a very awesome topic that I'm super excited about. We're about 17 days away from the NFL draft, guys, and I could not be any more excited to talk about this with you guys. Go ahead and roll that intro. Welcome back, guys. Now, like I mentioned before in the intro, we want to go ahead and talk about the NFL draft and who I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to go ahead and target. Now, I went ahead and gave you my top 4 prospects on one of my last videos. If you have not seen it yet, I definitely recommend watching it right here. These are the players that I feel like the Arizona Cardinals will benefit a great deal from getting one of those 4 players. Now, on this video here, I wanted to go ahead and talk about one specific player that I really have my eye on. A lot of people aren't really sold on it because it's more of a position player at that point, but honestly, the hype, the intensity of getting somebody like this person is it's a no-brainer for me. To get started, guys, I want to go ahead and let you know there's a lot of new things happening for the Arizona Sports Fan YouTube channel. Obviously, we have a whole different background going on. We got shirts for sale, as well as I went ahead and did a collab with the fantasy football counselor. If you don't know him, he's really popular on Instagram, and he also has a YouTube channel. So make sure you go to his YouTube channel, show some love on there. Go ahead and shout out the Arizona Sports Fan. Just go ahead and shout out that you're Arizona proud, as well as Arizona Cardinal proud as well. Moving on to the player that I want to go ahead and get in this year's NFL draft. Here are my top 3 reasons why I think the Arizona Cardinals should consider getting Ceedee Lamb 8th overall in this year's NFL draft. Reason number 1. As of right now, we don't know if the DeAndre Hopkins and David Johnson's trade is 100% official. I would hate to lose out in a stud wide receiver like Ceedee Lamb and something comes out of nowhere saying that, hey, somebody failed the physical, whether it's D-Hop or it's David Johnson. Last I heard, David Johnson is 110%, so I do not think that he has something wrong, but you never know what's going to happen throughout the offseason. Now, DeAndre Hopkins' status as far as health concerns, I never really heard anything about it either. So right now, I think more 75% that it is going to happen, maybe even 80% that this trade is going to be official. They're just pending physicals as of right now. But as of right now, I feel like that's enough to kind of scare me to feel like, hey, we had a number 1 wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, but if this trade doesn't go through, who are we left with? Larry Fitzgerald, which is, hey, overall a legend. I have nothing bad to say about Larry Fitzgerald, but he is getting up there in age. We also have Christian Kirk. Now, Christian Kirk, to me, I'm always going to say this. I have nothing against the young man. He is probably an awesome dynamite person, human being, but as a player, I do not see him as a number 1 wide receiver. I think he's a great slot wide receiver or even a solidified number 2 wide receiver. Definitely get a lot more catches once he benefits from a number 1 wide receiver getting doubled. We also have Andy Isabella, Hakeem Butler, and Keyshawn Johnson. None of those players right there to me are screaming number 1 wide receiver. Now, those last 3 players that I mentioned didn't really get an opportunity to shine, didn't really get an opportunity to really show their talents, whether it was injury, whether it was not being on the field, whatever the situation is. I think that Ceedee Lamb is a bona fide number 1 wide receiver, and there's no doubt in my mind that the Arizona Cardinals will not consider getting him. As of right now, the news that the whole trade isn't official is enough to really scare me and to think that, hey, what if there is a 1%, 2% chance that DeAndre Hopkins doesn't end up going to the Arizona Cardinals? That would just overall kind of blow my mind, and I would just be extremely upset. Now, I already hear it on the comments. I already hear all sorts of comments saying, why would we go wide receiver when we went 3 wide receivers last year? Now, the answer for that is that Steve Keim is known for going best player available, whether it's going to be middle linebacker, whether it's going to be wide receiver, whatever position that you think that it is. As of right now, Steve Keim has done it to Josh Rosen when he drafted Kyler Murray because he felt like he was the best player. There's no doubt in my mind that Steve Keim will go ahead and draft Ceedee Lamb over the 3 players that they went ahead and drafted last year. Arizona Cardinals think that Ceedee Lamb is going to be a number 1 wide receiver. Reason number 2, the future of Larry Fitzgerald. What's going to happen with Larry Fitzgerald after the 2020 season? Now, as of right now, he is on a 1-year deal, getting paid upwards of $11 million for the year, but we don't know what's going to happen after. Now, that's really something to concern about because we know that we always have the dependability of Larry Fitzgerald having really good hands and always being that dependable, safe blanket for Kyler Murray, being that he is still a young quarterback. There's a lot of different things that Larry Fitzgerald brings to the team. He brings leadership. He brings, overall being a pro and being that one person that can be in your ear and show you how to be an overall NFL athlete. Keeping his nose clean, being classy all the time. So he brings a lot more than just being his short hands. But what if we're in a situation where we don't have Larry Fitzgerald? And that's probably going to be something that we really got to consider happening, maybe even next year. Getting a player like Ceedee Lamb at the 8th overall spot is definitely something we really got to consider. Yeah, Larry Fitzgerald, and this year is an overcrowded wide receiver core. Hey, let's go ahead and take that as it comes. We're basically preparing for the years to come. Are we going to hit Super Bowl next year? Probably not. Are we going to hit playoffs? Hopefully. I can only hope, fingers crossed, that because they opened up a new spot for the, playoff bracket, I hope we can somehow get in there. That shows improvement. That definitely shows that Kyler Murray is, improving the team, making us better with his play, his leadership, and also Cliff Kingsbury's offense is working. That's all really it tells me. Reason number 2 is basically the uncertainty of Larry Fitzgerald's future with the Arizona Cardinals. Reason number 3. My reason number 3 is going to be what an awesome wide receiver core to have DeAndre Hopkins for about 2 to 3 more years on his deal, Ceedee Lamb on a rookie deal, Christian Kirk on the slot. Now, as of right now, those 3 would be a dynamic wide receiver core. That would probably be something along the lines when we had Larry Fitzgerald, Anquan Bolden, and Steven Preston. Like, we were a dynamite force back then. Our wide receiver core was super dynamic. I want to go back to that specific time when we had such good wide receivers at that point. Now, I know we're kind of being on a toss-up right now, but those are my main 3 reasons why I want to get Ceedee Lamb. I want to go ahead and make sure we have a security blanket. I want to make sure that we have that number 1 wide receiver when Larry Fitzgerald decides to retire. If the DeAndre Hopkins trade doesn't go through, this is stuff that the general manager, the front office really has to think about. And also, I didn't even think about this until right now. San Francisco 49ers are picking number 13th overall. They went ahead and got that pick by trading with the Indianapolis Colts. Now, what that tells me is that they have their eye on maybe one of the top wide receivers in this year's NFL draft. I would hate to get burnt by somebody like Ceedee Lamb because we ended up skipping on him and him becoming the next DeAndre Hopkins. Now, I want 2 DeAndre Hopkins on our team. Call me selfish, but I do not want to get burnt by the San Francisco 49ers when they add such a great talent like Ceedee Lamb. Now, one thing that brings me to this, that thinking like why they want a wide receiver when they have a Deebo Samuel, which is, a really young, promising wide receiver, because they ended up letting go Emmanuel Sanders, which was a veteran, sure-head wide receiver that they ended up having, but it seems like they went ahead and went a different route. I think they're trying to eyeball one top wide receiver, and I think if all the chips fall to their favor, they can really benefit from the Arizona Cardinals missing off on another great prospect, not getting like Nick Bosa. I mean, honestly, it worked out for us. Kyler Murray is fantastic, don't get me wrong. If we miss out on Ceedee Lamb, if San Francisco 49ers goes ahead and gets him, I think right now, because we have the uncertainty of DeAndre Hopkins maybe not even being traded over to us, Larry Fitzgerald probably having his last year within the Arizona Cardinals, we need somebody for Kyler Murray to keep up his weapons. If they want to have Kyler Murray succeed, they are going to need to give him weapons and build a team around Kyler Murray. Our free agency, what we did there, I think it was good. I think that if we didn't get DeAndre Hopkins, and we nationally and all the Arizona Cardinals fans wouldn't be giving too much credit to Steve Keim at that point, but I do think that because we got that DeAndre Hopkins trade, everything else that followed after, whether it's Kennard, whether it's Phillips, whoever we went ahead and got, just was a bona fide plus at that point because the DeAndre Hopkins trade went through. So what else can go better is just basically things on top of ice cream at that point. So DeAndre Hopkins made this offseason go through. Let that sink in for a while, guys. So I really do think that Ceedee Lamb should be the 8th overall pick for the Arizona Cardinals, not just thinking about this year. I get it. It's going to be an overcrowded wide receiver core, but guys, think about it for the future. Think about the future of the wide receiver core once everything starts happening and the domino effects start happening. We really got to go ahead and solidify us as being that triple trio that we once had in Breston, Anquan Bolden, and Larry Fitzgerald, guys. So that is all I got. Let me know what you guys think on the comments below. That's the Arizona sports fan for you. Have a great rest of your night, guys. I'm out.